then the world doesn't stop. Bro. Wisdom, which has reshaped my entire life, to be honest, to just follow the words of our Creator. To the good and to the clean. You got me, Josh? You're on mute.
Yeah, I got you now. It sounds much better. You froze for a good while there.
Okay, what was the last part you got, Josh?
Well, you were in and out the whole time. It sounded like you were saying you were on the clean or unclean, religious or irreligious.
So
It was
verse
like
2.
verse 2 around there. Yeah.
Okay, I'll pick verse 2.
All right.
All things come alike to all. There's one event to the wicked, to the good, clean, and to the unclean, to him that sacrifices and him that sacrifices not. As is the good, so this is all things that are done under the sun, that there is one event, yea, also the heart of the sons of men is full of evil and madness in their heart while they live, and after they go to the dead. For to him that is joined to for a living dog is for the living know that they shall die, but the dead know nothing, know not anything. Neither have they any more reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. Also their love and their hatred and their envy is now perished. Neither have they any more portion forever in anything that is done under the sun. So go thy way, eat, drink wine with a merry works. Let thy fight and let thy head lack no ointment. Live joyfully with the wife whom thou lovest all the days of thy life of thy vanity, which he had given thee under the sun. All the days of thy vanity, for that is thy portion in this life, and in thy labor which thou takest under the sun. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave whither thou goest. I read is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. skill, but time and chance happeneth to them all. For man also knoweth not his time. Evil net and the birds that are caught in the snare. This wisdom, there was a little city, few men inside. There came a great king against it, and besieged it, and built great bulwarks against it. Now there was found in it a poor man remembered him, no one remembered that same poor man. Then I said, is better than strength. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despaired, and words are not heard. The words of the wise men are heard in quiet, more than the cry that ruleth among fools. Weapons, but one sinner destroys much good. Let's go ahead and interpret what he has on that. Before he does, the few things I just want to point out is that there's an interesting part in verse 4 about how it's better for the living now than it is to be dead, because there's no reward when you're gone, and now is the time to and you're
Yeah, what I got from that chapter was pretty much death is going to come to us all, whether we're wise, dumb, rich, poor. It's coming, it's inevitable, it'll be here. So pretty much just enjoy your days, like it says in verse 9, where at least in the version that I have, it says, live happily with the woman you love through all the meaningless. And I like how it says meaningless days, because I think King Solomon was saying, like, especially in the beginning of Ecclesiastes, where he talks about everything's vanity. So he's just, saying, enjoy this here, enjoy the fruits of our labor, the food, the wine, but it's also meaningless if we're not following following Christ, and we're all gonna be judged, whether we're saint, sinner, which we're all sinners, but the unclean, the clean, the righteous, the not righteous, we're all gonna be judged at the end of the day. So we're gonna get treated all the same. We're all gonna have to face judgment one day. So I also liked in verse 11 where mine says, I have observed something else under the sun. The fastest runner doesn't always win the race, and the strongest warrior doesn't always win the battle. The wise sometimes go hungry, and the skillful are not necessarily wealthy. I think that's pretty deep there, saying that you know uh, things might not always work out in your favor. I guess that's kind of how I took it as. Um, you can work your behind off and still struggle. You can be quote unquote the best at something and not have all the cards in your hand. So it's best just to give him the glory, I guess. I think you froze or you there? Okay. All right, here we go. Chapter 10. And I'm reading the NLT version, so mine will be a little worded a little bit different, but the message will still be there. All right, chapter 10. As dead flies cause even a bottle of perfume to stink, so a little foolishness spoils great wisdom and honor. A wise person chooses the right road, a fool takes the wrong one. You can identify fools just by the way they walk down the street. If your boss is angry at you, don't quit. A quiet spirit can overcome even great mistakes. The ironies of life. There is another evil I have seen under the sun. Kings and rulers make a grave mistake when they give great authority to foolish people and low positions to people of proven worth. I have even seen servants riding horsebacks like princes and princes walking like servants. When you dig a well, you might fall in. When you demolish an old wall, you could be bitten by a snake. When you work in a quarry, stones might fall and crush you. When you chop wood, there is danger with each stroke of your axe. Using a dull axe requires great strength, so sharpen the blade. That's the value of wisdom. It helps you succeed. If a snake bites you, if a snake bites before you charm it, what's the use of being a snake charmer? Wise words bring approval, but fools are destroyed by their own words. Fools base their thoughts on foolish assumptions, so their conclusions will be wicked madness. They chatter on and on. No one really knows what is going to happen. No one can predict the future. Fools are so exhausted by a little work that they can't even find their way home. What sorrow for the land ruled by a servant, the land whose leaders feast in the morning. Happy is the land whose king is a noble leader and whose leaders feast at the proper time to gain strength for their work, not to get drunk. Laziness leads to a sagging roof, idleness leads to a leaky house. A party gives laughter, wine gives happiness, and money gives everything. Never make light of the king, even in your thoughts. And don't make fun of the powerful, even in your own bedroom. For a little bird might deliver your message and tell them what you said.
It like list out these things that if you are in these occupations, kind of have like the understanding of expecting these things will come from you. I think that a correlation from sharpening your wisdom. Like the more you sharpen your wisdom, the better that tool's going to be in your life. So expect the results from that. It mentions how a foolish man is also known by his words and how the foolish is wearied by their own labor. And it kind of rolls right into the king and the rulers. One of the interesting things that I want to point out is how, like one of the old is to eat from your labor, like you work for your labor. But if a prince is full, he doesn't care what's happening in his kingdom to all of his people. But for the prince that's eating in season, it's like, okay, we've done all this work through in feast. Go back, work hard, play hard. And you know the old saying, Josh, like you deserve this time off because of all the effort you
Right.
put in. And then there's something to be said about verse 19. A feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh the heart merry, but money answereth all things. On the earth, there's like this consistent, I don't want to say battle, but to attain more that we're able to answer with money. And that includes like being helpful, being useful to other people. Like it's hard to go to somebody and to tell them, like the apostles describe it, just go and be warm, be full, like God does will you to be happy. God does will these things, but it's hard for you to go and minister to somebody without be like, do you know what? Let me provide you with a meal right now, so that way your belly's satisfied and you can focus on something besides your hunger. And then just to highlight verse 20, nothing against, I'm not trying to bring anybody from any other place or anything like that, but sometimes the the role of a servant that I run to, I rather live a life of humility, and because that's not the role ruler, like God does place people. But it's interesting to be said because when you are placed in that role by God, and then you have an adversary who's not in a opposition role, like let's say you're a YouTube across the country and hate, disagreement, or race baiting, and then you speak up against a ruler. All these things that God put into that man's heart. And then the next thing you find yourself in a morgue because never back. All right, everybody. Thank you for everybody that joined. And remember, if you're there and you haven't accepted Jesus as your Lord and Savior, myself or Josh, we definitely have. And if you want somebody to actually guide you through that and have that prayer with you so you could accept Jesus in your life and he can come in and overtake your temple and so you can start seeing the world for what it is. I hate to say it, but he created this paradise for us. He created this wonderful place for us to live, for us to share with our brothers. We have a Father in heaven, and he just wants us to return back to him. Jesus is the good shepherd. He's the one looking for the lost sheep. And if that's you and you want somebody, hey, you can message me. If you see Josh's YouTube profile on Jesus, I know
Definitely.
because me and his conversations about the and it's beautiful when you do that relationship with them. For the people,
Jesus first, Jesus always. You just follow the once you see, you can't unsee. So once you see the light, it's hard to, like you said, this whole world that he created for us is hard not to see him and literally everything. Literally and everything. So
I love that, Josh. I love you too, brother. And then I'll
I
see
love
you
you.
next Monday. Let's close out this book of wisdom.
Yeah, we'll do 11 and 12 next week. God bless you. Have a great week.
God bless you too, brother.